We're not aware that we're live yet, so can say things we're not supposed to say or whatever. So we're probably live now. We're not aware that we're live yet. Yep, there it is. There's the monitor. Okay, so we're live and welcome everybody to Playtime with Chris and Garrett. I'm Garrett, last I checked, and I think this is Chris sitting here with us.
Tis I, Lord Christopher, ready to play, sir.
So, yeah, I just saw I just saw a hater comment.
Yeah,
Uh,
already?
Yeah, I just happened to click on the notification. So on my video, my new book, A Way Out: Field Guide to Escaping the Hell of the Mind, Volume 1. And some guy named Art Freak 2074 said, "Did you even sell a single copy picking the bones of a dead man?" Uh, so he must be trying to say that I'm picking the bones of Hyatt, which is hilarious because
Well,
I
he's
think that
aware of
I've
Hyatt.
done, as far as I know, of anybody on the planet, and this is like incidental, but that I've spent the majority of my life now, if we add up the years, yeah, the majority of my life giving sessions and creating workshops and doing courses. And the funny thing is, the dead man he's referring to, Hyatt, told me directly to my face while I was working with him, go out and do whatever you want with this. And then he said, if I were to start over from the beginning, I would do workshops in nature. You know what I mean? The stuff that he suggested. I wouldn't do this at a conference room at a hotel. I'm too old now. That's why I'm doing it here. But if I were you, I'd go do workshops in nature, incorporate other stuff. You know what I mean? That was one of the last bits of instruction from the man. And here I am responding to this is not playful, right? Responding to hate messages. But yeah, come on, dude. Yeah, I made the cardinal error right now, just right now in front of everyone live is don't read the comments.
You
Yeah.
don't send this guy a free book and write him a message. Respond live. Actually, I sold one to my mom. Okay, buddy, and she loved it. Um, why playtime?
I'm going to respond to this guy to invite him on a live stream.
There you
So
go.
why
Right
playtime?
now.
How do we get ahead of people? We get ahead of people by responding to all the comments about us on the internet. No.
Sure.
Okay, there we go.
Got
So,
that guy straight.
no, I
Good.
said I'm straight. I said, well, now I might as well finish the story. I said, hey man, why don't you elaborate further, make a real argument, and defend your ill-formed claim? I'll have you on a live stream to discuss if you're not a coward. So that's fair enough, no?
Fair enough.
Make a
Yeah.
make a real argument so we have something to deal with. And then if you're actually more than just an idiot who is doing a drive-by, then come on the live stream and we'll talk about your claims. I'll give you all the time you need. Lay it out.
In- Interesting that he even knows who Hyatt is to make a comment. Um,
Well, and the funny thing is, Hyatt didn't invent, he invented the packaging of a bunch of different things. You know, he had his main thing was doing the publishing,
yeah.
but he didn't invent somatic work. But what he did do was
Right.
put it together in such a way that it wasn't bound into occult practices and it wasn't bound into psychiatric practices.
Yeah.
It wasn't strictly walled off into the world of psychiatry, which would never see the light of day again, except maybe a couple random people practicing it with their clients.
Yeah.
which in some forms of psychiatry is illegal anyway to do anything related, body related, hands on. Depends on the license and all that.
Mm, yeah. I guess that's where Reich kind of did something crazy when he started touching people's bodies in the 19 whatever 30s.
Well, that wasn't that big of a deal back then. I don't think they had as much qualms about that. He got in trouble because he was making crazy claims and then shipping those machines and stuff across state lines. And
Yeah, later on in his life, he went full Marxist and full kind of crazy pedophile. I don't know, went some crazy, crazy direction for sure.
and apparently shooting down aliens with orgone rays and stuff like that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, it was funny that it was particularly cigar-shaped alien ships, something Freudian about all that.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
get you. I'll get you, Dad. Yeah, but anyway, enough of that. There's so much insider stuff we just said, but yeah, it'd be great if if haters wanted to just like write an email in and say, "Hey, man, I really, I don't have a bad taste in my mouth. I think you're like this. I think you're doing this, am I wrong? Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, never have I received that message.
yeah, yeah, social media.
But
Um,
what's fascinating, and this can tie into how to get ahead of 99% of people in 2026. And I just want to tell everybody, I hope this is the best 2026 of your life. It certainly is mine. Uh, um, there was a lot of people who, before I went out and started going deep with the undoing and offering it to other people. And what most people don't know, for years before I was doing that, before I ever made any public offering at all, I was giving sessions and must have gotten into the hundreds directly, person to person, usually in trade with tattoo artists and with massage therapists and yogis and other body practitioners because they were just easy to talk to and they're open to experiencing something new.
yeah,
And I felt like, oh, I need the experience of like all different body structures, people that have different problems, and see how this actually all works. I'd gone deep with it for myself, and I had met with Hyatt and gone deep with it with him. And then one of his suggestions was to go work with other people and learn how to do that. And then I even went to massage school for 2 years to even more work with other people and become comfortable with all the body stuff
yeah.
and learn kinesiology and everything else. And then at that time there was a lot of sort of like Hyatt devotees, let's call it,
Mhm.
in these online groups. And they were all really supportive. Oh yeah, get out there, and do the work and put it out. And it'll be amazing to see this work brought to a larger audience. Side note, there was like that out of one of the at the first workshop Hyatt put on related to the undoing, out of 15 of us, two of us in that room had ever done even one of the exercises from the books. Everybody else was there, and I don't mean to, or maybe three. Now I'm thinking of this other guy too, who I caught up with recently. He kept up with somatics since then. But let's say three out of the 15 had ever done one of the exercises out of the books. Most people were there out of some kind of cult of personality around Hyatt, which is fine. You come and learn anyway. Great, whatever. But I went because of the body work, because I had gotten into the body work and then go to meet him. And then when it actually came time to go put the work out there and have a website and do, try my hand at it, then then those same people instantly were just super critical and nasty and mean, you know? And you could look at posts in that forum, in this particular forum, before and after. Before, oh yeah, it's
Mhm.
going to be awesome. And then as soon as we put stuff out there, oh, this name is gay. These guys are fucking stupid, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
insulting. And I remember one classic comment was, I don't think this undoing stuff works. And someone was like, well, did you try? Did you try doing some of it? And he's like, I did the face stretches once and nothing happened. I was like, yeah, this is the quality person here. That's the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mostly occultists and mom's basement kind of folks. And some of them actually were cool people with uh, some serious credentials and stuff. But in terms of the actual body work, most of the folks had not done anything.
Yeah.
And there was this idea of almost mummifying this certain idea of Hyatt,
Hmm.
which at least in my direct experience was contradictory to who he was and how he wanted his students to, what he wanted to teach to people anyway. One of the ways he would lampoon that at the second workshop was he goes, I worked with Dr. Rigardi. I also worked with Dr. Rossi. Now touch my hand. And then he's like, now what am I doing? What am I doing? Like asking us these rhetorical questions and almost mocking any of us who were there just to be in proximity to him because he was in proximity to Rigardi, you know?
Right.
And so that's how to be a loser is to elevate other people into this cult of personality, into this imaginary construction, into this superhero, you know,
Right.
rather than, oh, I really liked the through line through the latter five of his books, for example. You could make a case for that.
Right.
Oh, this book really, this particular idea or this exercise or this collection of exercises or these ideas or this worldview really helped me break out of being stuck in my head all the time, for example.
Yeah.
That's a real statement. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter who the person was, doesn't matter how they conducted themselves in their lives. The opposite, but equal but opposite type of robotic NPC loser is to reject the undoing because Hyatt was fat at the end of his life. I saw that
Yeah.
also in tons of
Sure.
comments and stuff. Oh, who would listen to a guy like that weighs that much? You know?
Right. Right.
Same. That's the inverse of if you have either me in my case, I go along with everything that they believe he thought and taught, even though he contradicts himself in earlier books to later books, which is a good thing because the worldview's cleaning up over time, hopefully. But trying to uphold some philosophy or way of looking at the world, never doing the body work and not realizing that the body work is something that passes from person to person and is organic and is alive.
Right.
It's not, as this guy says, a dead man's bones. But clearly,
Yeah.
I can tell a lot by about that person from that comment. That person has never done any of the undoing work. Never.
Right.
Not one exercise. Not consistently over years of time. Not enough to know what it is that Hyatt actually presented, and not enough to know um, how much effort it takes to you know what I mean? I've done so like I said, 20 some years of my life, thousands of people, thousands of sessions, a weekly session every week since 2015 now. Um, and I don't expect the guy to know all that, but it's like a completely idiotic, baseless comment, and it reveals a lot about the person. But yeah, but we don't want to idolize anybody and put people on pedestals.
100%. And I think, and we all come with that tendency to some degree, some of us more or less. And I know I did, I grew up with a father who idolized Bruce Lee, so I kind of grabbed that tendency to put people on pedestals early on. Michael Jordan, Bruce Lee, these guys, and just make them into caricatures because they're not human anymore. Like you do
Mhm.
them a disservice when you put somebody up on a pedestal. Like now they're not human anymore. You've just frozen them in time, in some, idealized image that isn't real. And then if you continue to compare yourself to that, you're not going to make it. Like in my case, I could see a tendency toward having this high image and then not be able to make steps because it's so high that I'm constantly judging myself against it. So this kind of all or nothing or this perfection idea will just destroy you if you don't get rid of that idolizing tendency and focus on your own progress and not constantly weighing yourself towards some false image. Like this person is not as great as you thought they were, in their everyday life. If
That's
you
all, and that's always going to be the case.
Right, exactly.
There might be a couple exceptions, like St. John Maximovich, St. John of St. Shanghai and San Francisco. Certain people you might actually live up to more than you could ever imagine of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But that person is never going to be a star on TV that you can buy posters of. Right.
Right. Yeah, thank God for that. Uh, but yeah, this worship. What's funny, another aspect of this comment, this is interesting to me, is clearly I worked with the man, and
He
and
probably
then
doesn't know that
yeah,
also.
he might not know that. And clearly I've carried the work forward, and not slandered him. I disagree with aspects of his worldview, fine, but I learned so much from Hyatt in such a short time, and it actually broke me free of. It was a huge part of me getting out of the Freemasons and the OTO was that work
Yeah.
with Hyatt and private conversations with him about specifically about those groups and everything, and the pitfalls of them.
So he was a high-ranking member in the OTO. Did he abandon, did he didn't say nice things about it towards the end, or did he still kind of, I'm sure he was still sympathetic to that whole worldview up until the end of his life in some.
Privately he said a bunch of things that I don't want to repeat because I don't care to stir that pot again, but it was enough to make me go like, oh, okay, what am I doing in these groups?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
am I even doing this for? And I got out of there. But then he also contradicted that later and said like, oh, but he's friends with such and such, and they kind of tried to honor him after he died, which is what you do, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know the internal dynamics of that, but it was enough um, that he said to me privately to get out to for me to be disabused of my illusions about what I was doing in those groups.
That's really good because I know there was moments where I questioned myself. I'm sitting there looking at the tarot spread and like, what am I doing? And yet no, I didn't have a grown up come and be like, yeah, go ahead and throw all that away and go and like, and so it's good you had that because I probably could have saved some time if I had found an elder sooner. Luckily, I was an athlete, so I had a physical component too.
Yeah.
So I wasn't hanging out with the Dungeons and Dragons like so I went and became a yoga teacher because I'm like, okay, this is how I can be in the world and get a job and
Yeah.
integrate my spirituality into and not just, so I still did a lot of things. I went to the South America for years and met teachers and stuff. But I could see you could just never leave your basement and think you're a Gnostic in your head, all this type of nonsense people are stuck in for their whole lives.
Oh yeah. 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 I mean, thank God I just was talking to you before we got on the call, before we got on the stream about Norman Allen, my first yoga instructor. And it's like, it's perfect that it was him as
Yeah.
opposed to anyone else I could have met. And he was like really critical of the yoga in the West. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
students where he had told this is like Idris Shah stories too, but where and even St. Paisios told similar stories, but where people would come to him, like his students, and they would work with him for like a month, and then they would go write a book about Ashtanga yoga and sell it in
Right.
California. And he's like, "What?" And then they would claim to be like, "Oh, students of Norman Allen." And he's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Um,
Still going on. And it's just
yeah,
like,
and like the LA like TNA yoga, which is the thing, and
yeah.
all those different things. But Norman was very down to earth and really grounded. I was starting to tell you before, one of the main things he taught me that was great was if you're making food, always feed someone or something else first before you eat. I haven't always kept to it, but it's like a really good rule.
Well, but look at that. Let's look at that because that's the same thing we did in South America doing our ayahuasca ceremony, whatever ceremony we did, we always got all the food before the feast and went and fed the trees or fed nature or whatever before we ate. And look what we're doing. What did we do in the garden? We took the apple first for ourselves. So this
Hmm.
is literally, whether they know it or not,
Yeah.
that is, they are trying to rectify the fall.
Yeah.
That's why it's a universal thing because Christianity is the truth, guys.
Yeah, there's something so beautiful about that, that everyone has built in them the yearning for the truth. That's what led me to go do all the seeking in the first place. You feel like something's not right here,
Right.
either with me or with this, or both. And then you start looking. And as an
Yep.
American, you can be born into a not traditionless family because we all have traditions, whether they're made up by that family and begun right there, or the traditions of the prevailing culture, but or the neighborhood or the whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but you could grow up without any dominant religious perspective in America, which a lot of now that I live outside of the country for a long time, I realize there's people that don't grasp what that it's impossible to grasp what that is in some level, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's so ironic because all of our holidays, holy days, how many people celebrate holidays and they don't realize that it means holy day, right?
Yeah.
And it's the secular people who are dressing green for St. Patrick's Day and go all out. They've hollowed out all St. Valentine's Day. They do all the big thing, and at the same time they mock Jesus. They'll wear like shirts that mock Jesus on the holy day, where they get it from, and practice the empty, hollowed out version to an extreme and don't even realize the irony. It's just completely secular worldview. It's
It's wild, dude. It's wild.
totally yeah, it's retarded. It's
But
truly
like
retarded.
back to that yearning thing, what's fascinating when I think about my mom, God rest her soul, one of the beautiful things that she would do was make a big production out of Easter and Christmas, particularly. There was always like a whole ritual around it. Her mom was a Catholic, but she didn't get into that at all. But she had this sense of care for people. Uh, one of the so there was some urge to do that these holidays were
Hmm.
something special and that you would share that with something special with other people, especially particularly the people who couldn't or didn't have anything else they could do on that day, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember she would invite like my ex-girlfriends to like Thanksgiving. Oh, Thanksgiving was the big one. Thanksgiving, it was mainly Thanksgiving and Easter, and then sometimes Christmas. Christmas was usually more of a family thing, but Thanksgiving and Easter would be like, hey, are any of those punk rock friends of yours from the city don't have anywhere to go for Easter? Like, come up north, you know, and make. She made even adult dudes. This one guy, also he's dead now. God rest his soul, Norman. He took good care of me when I was like 16, 17 and going to Minneapolis in the punk scene. If I didn't have anywhere to stay, um, and I was so reckless, I didn't even care if I had anywhere to stay. He would just kind of gently direct me to his house all the time. And I would be stay overnight with him, or we go make t-shirts at his t-shirt screen printing shop or whatever. Looking back, it was like being a big brother, you know, he's way older than me. Not way older, but old enough to where he could see I was totally reckless. So he came up for Easter one time, and it's a small town in Minnesota that had never seen someone with face tattoos. And people started mocking him. And we were at the video store because my mom we'd like to go rent a movie on one of those holidays, sit together, watch a movie after the meal. So we're looking to choose a movie together, and people in the store are mocking, making fun of him. And my mom makes a big production to shut everybody down. You know, what the fuck is your problem? Talking, do you know this man? You know, like all this. And super sweet though. And he was weeping. This is a hardened, you know, punk rock guy. Weeping when my mom gave him an Easter basket, you know, with all this
Nice.
candy and stuff in there. Nice things. So we had such a good meal. She would make ham, a whole roast ham with like cloves stuck, like whole cloves stuck in on like a web, and then honey baked, you know. Oh man, that was something. So we'd eat that and then hang out, stay overnight, and then drive back to the city the next day. But Norman had a wonderful time. And the same thing went for Thanksgiving. My mom, I remember my mom had her ex-husband's ex-wife and her husband over to our house for Thanksgiving, you know? And then my stepdad's son, who I call my brother, Dan, uh, that was his mom. So like he stayed with our family after everybody's bullshit relationships fell apart.
Mm.
He would end up coming to our staying close with our my mom's side of all that situation. So she was the one kind of, even though there was brokenness, there was a sense of togetherness and wholeness to these holidays. And I don't think she was trying to do a Christian thing, but it ended up being like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this Thanksgiving, who knows? It's like kind of a made up thing, American lore, which is
Sure.
beautiful in its own sense, is at its best. And I
Yeah.
think I saw it at its best. But she would be inviting the guy at the grocery store who packs the or stocks the shelves because she could tell, oh, he's not going to go anywhere for Thanksgiving, you know. So this guy comes over, and somebody from down the street comes over, you know. And it was like a 2 or 3 day ordeal of food and football, watching the football game, you know, on the Thursday special Thanksgiving football game, and waking up late, middle of the night, and making a turkey sandwich, you know, this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it's funny because this could be a topic related to what we were going to talk about, which is the NPC, because how many people just robotically participate in these holidays and almost organize their lives around them, but they don't know why. I mean, I got to the point where my worldviews were incoherent. I actually started feeling like I can't continue to like be a yogi and be a shaman and just go home and then do Christmas. It doesn't make any. It's like it's not lining up. So I either got to drop Christmas or I got to. And I was considering like I'm just not gonna do these holidays anymore because it doesn't feel like I can't just go and like play Jesus and then like go and do this other thing. So it's cool that I discovered the true Christian faith so that I could integrate these holidays that we've been doing because our whole lives that are such a part of our lives. And I mean, imagine life without these pit stops, these holidays that kind of organize your year. And now, of course, we have the liturgical year, which is just a totally different, worldview that is trying to reorganize your life in a way. Like yesterday was the end of our liturgical year. Right now, I know you're on a slightly different calendar, so now we have like a 2 week break. Like the Dormition feast is like the end of the cycle. And then we start the liturgical year again September 1st, which I didn't get. I didn't know that until yesterday. Like how that whole salvific history is then built into the calendar, and then you basically organize your life around that. And that Mary is like I know we're going deep into Orthodoxy now, but is like the playing out of the resurrection like in a human life. So she's
Yeah.
like the example of what Christ did, and then in her assumption, like you see how this plays out in a human's life. So you too can happen too in a way. Anyways,
Yeah, there's something beautiful about that, though, like how the holidays, because holidays prior to understanding a little bit about Orthodoxy, it's like they're ungrounded, like they're floating in nothing, they're floating in space. Where did this come from? Okay, well, Thanksgiving is grounded in American history. Okay.
that's the closest one. That the Christian ones are even further away into where did this come from? Why do we do this? Right? Thanksgiving, most people know the reason to some degree.
Hmm.
Um,
But what's interesting is that humans will always seek for or establish traditions. It's impossible not to.
right.
And then the tradition is either the truth or it's some inversion of it, you know. So, but we're always seeking that structure, as you said, and this meaning and connection that then can play out through the rest of the year. I'd say like one of the more inverted, perverted forms of it is something like Burning Man or the
Sure.
what people call the festival scene. And it can be fun. I mean, I had a good time at these festivals, but it was never fulfilling ultimately. It was chasing this thing or that thing or chasing this experience or chasing this high.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny too, like look at exactly what we've done. The liturgical year, there's fasts and feasts. Well, we go ahead and took those fasts because you can't make money with them. We throw those away. We just keep the feasting part. Christmas, what do? We feast. We don't fast leading up to it. Easter, what do? We feast. We don't
Hmm.
fast lead up to Halloween. Yes, we're supposed to do All Saints Day the day after and fast from all the candy we ate at least. We go ahead and get rid of that one because that's not going to make us any money. So we've literally taken them, take the feast part, take just the indulging part and the consumption, the consumerism, and get rid of any, um, and yet despite that, we still feel the pull to do Christian things like your mom to actually make this a meaningful, landing, a healing thing, a wholesome thing,
Hmm.
serving something higher than your appetites.
Well,
Uh,
and what Kenny Rogers, God bless him, said about you need three things in life: something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. And I know as a kid, those holidays were one of those things. It was like at least
sure.
you have something you can aim at that's going to be relaxing and fun and amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And prior to my mom's death, so in the time when I left Minnesota to 2002, I would always go back to Minnesota, usually before Thanksgiving, and that happened to fall right near my mom's birthday. Or my mom's birthday fell because Thanksgiving's calculated by as the fourth Thursday in November, so it changes, you know. But um, I would always come back to Minnesota prior to Thanksgiving, and then I would stay usually, even if I had to hitchhike back or get a ride or whatever. And then I would stay until right after New Year's, you know,
Mm,
every year. And I didn't really plan it that way, but it was kind of like, oh, and now I look back, it was like, I'm not going to miss Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know,
yeah. Right.
with my family. And then I would spend a little that time up there, usually Thanksgiving, go back down to the city, stay with friends that I didn't see for the year, uh, hang out with people, whatever, and then go back up to the parents' house for Christmas for the whole week, and then till New Year's, and then back down to the city and hang out with family and friends and everybody. And then once the spring thaw started to happen, head back out west.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's interesting too how Christmas was always the big one for, I think, for most people. Like Christmas is the big holiday, and yet
Mhm.
Easter, Pascha is actually the most important uh, Christian holiday, right? Um, but it makes sense because the resurrection for the secular mind is a lot harder to to grasp than the death of Christ. So I guess we would kind of downplay and change it from being about the resurrection to a bunny with the eggs because we can kind of uh I don't know.
Bunny with the eggs. There's some. I tried looking deeper into that where that comes from, and it was all speculative at some point. But
Well, we have the egg, right? We bring red eggs for Pascha, which represents Christ. And you guys do that? You guys do that, right?
uh, one second here. Yeah, they in here. Well in US we just had colored or whatever, but here they use like onion skins and they makes them all red.
Right. So the egg is kind of the is my point is how we get to Easter. Like I don't know where the bunny comes from, but the eggs make sense because that's a symbol of life and the bunnies are about fertility. Well, that's what the egg's about, fertility. I mean, but it's like, life from a virgin. Like there's, and it's red because whatever. We can look it up exactly, but the egg connection was there. Okay, bye. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it makes
Playtime,
sense.
folks. Playtime, folks.
I
Okay.
know, look where we get into all this. Well, let's deal with a little bit that how to get ahead of 99% of people in
Oh, this wasn't.
2026.
You guys didn't get that from this. You guys. It was all in there. It's all in there. We already explained it.
Well, the one
Okay.
piece of advice you could deduce from this is that like what I learned from Norman Allen, which is share food with people
Be a
whenever
human,
you're going
huh?
to make food. Not some ways that you can do that. It's pretty nice. Like if you have a local coffee shop or bar or something that you go to, actually get to know the people that work there. You know what I mean? If it's in your right in your neighborhood, especially if you go there often, don't just be a um, NPC patron and pretend like they don't exist. Get to know them. And then if you make some food or have some holiday or whatever, go bring if you're making a Thanksgiving dinner, for example, it's not that big of a deal to set aside a few plates of with a little scoop of everything on it and then go bring it to those people who are at work.
Did that. In fact, there's always homeless people on the highway right by my house, and I was it last year. Made a plate and just went and drove around all the main spots and saw if somebody was there and gave it to them, which never even crossed my mind before. Like, sure, I'll stop and give them $1 and such, but like, we have so much, and there's so much opportunity to be a human
Or
and
you
to
go
share.
hang out and eat with them. Bring two
Right.
plates and you sit and
Even
eat
better.
too.
Even better.
There's a
Ask their
million
name.
different ways to go about that. But so the answer to how to get ahead of, which is a funny joke title anyway, but how to get ahead of 99% of people in 2026, especially in this age of roboticism, is did you disappear, Chris?
I'm still here.
Okay. Is to actually uh, make a real human connection with people. In the undoing world, we call that exercise real contact. And it's usually, I frame it in one of the intensives, 28-day intensives that I made. Real contact, spend the next 24 hours trying to establish real contact with everybody you see or come in contact with. And I leave it uh, deliberately vague because I want each person to seek within themselves what is real contact and how do I establish that? It doesn't mean you have to talk to everybody. And obviously use discretion. You're not going to go, oh, that guy waving the knife on the street corner. I got to figure out a way to talk to him. No, use discretion, of course. But if you notice something you like about a person, make a real compliment. If you notice, whatever, just make real contact. And so each person is left to their own devices to figure out what that means and
Yeah.
how to establish it. And when people actually go out and do it, it's beautiful what they come up with. One guy I recall saw some guys doing road work and he was going to just go away from it. And he was like, wait, it's real contact day. Okay, this means I need to go talk to this guy. And he walked over and asked the guy to explain what he was working on. And the guy was overjoyed to have someone be interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then explained to him about how that particular bit of road work works and what he was working on. And then started sharing details about his life and what's going on for him. And they
Yep.
ended up standing there talking for like an hour.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's when I went through your 28-day course. It's like that's the main thing I probably took away was the worldly exercises, which I think people need more than anything else. Like I think like that's the real somatic work in a way is like go and make contact, as you just said, with other people. Your nervous system will calm down as soon as you realize that guy's not a threat to you, and he's actually has a and like boom already,
Yeah.
you, you you know.
Well, and so the answer to the how to get ahead of 99% of people in 2026 is first, see, the issue is if people don't, this is why I package it all that way in the intent in the 28-day programs is you got a heavy dose of the undoing exercises. So you got the physical exercises, the face stretching, the shoulders, the different stuff. And there's 4 different cycles of that play out in the 4 weeks. Week 1, you have this set. Week 2, you have this set, and you do those each day. And it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however much time you want to put into it. And then the other aspects of it are some adventure or exercise or experiment that you do each day. And there's 28 different days of this.
Yeah.
And so, because alone, the undoing is great, or the somatic and movement-based exercises are great, but they're not necessarily, they will get you embodied and remembering you have a body and back in touch with yourself and your surroundings, but they won't necessarily get you in touch with your greater, with the people around you and get you engaged
Yeah.
in life and thinking
Yeah.
differently and breaking out of restrictive or delusional, not restrictive, but delusional worldviews that you have.
Right. They'll give you
You
the
might not.
energy to pursue those things, but you still
Yeah.
have to go and do those things. Right?
Yeah. And so if you, but sometimes if you were to go do those things without the context of the physical exercises, then you might feel like a bumbling idiot or like
Sure. Sure.
get too nervous or get upset or get scared. But if you have the exercises, you'll be so grounded that then it's, at least for me, it worked that way. I never had that much trouble talking with people though, with strangers and stuff. But for someone who does, you would get yourself grounded first and out, and so you'd start to see, oh, those things that are going on inside my imagination are not, I'm not in control of those, number one, and those aren't me. So the
Right.
identity can come out of what we call the hellish snow globe of the mind, you know? The identity
Confident.
comes out of there. And once it's out of there, you might also then realize, oh, everybody else to greater or lesser degree is living inside these false delusional interpretations of the world instead of in actuality. And once you see from outside, oh, look at all that stuff going on inside my head. It's going on, but I'm not subject to it anymore like I used to be. I'm not
Yep.
overwhelmed by it. I'm not in tension. I'm not, I'm not tense from it. I'm not whatever.
Man, it just maps so perfectly onto Christianity when you know what Christianity actually is, when you say it like that too. It's like the prince of the powers of the air, man. That's the devil. We call him the prince of the powers of the air. And the demons that kind of rule the astral plane, as it's called. It's like that's all in your head. And that's all where the occultism is. It's like you want to be a sorcerer. It's like you can only control people who live in their head, one, because anybody who lives in their body is an incarnate. You have no ability to manipulate them.
Mhm.
Right. So it's like it's all a game. Like, anyways, that's a kind of an offshoot, but it's certainly related to um when we talk about unseen warfare and spirituality and Christianity. But yeah, my my way in or my somatic kind of goal for people in this moment is to teach the body somatically how to stop trying, how to stop trying to get somewhere. That was one of the big breakthroughs that I had. I don't know, maybe you can speak to that. It's like the less you try to change and the less you're trying to get it right and the less you're trying to is you'll make changes and transformations faster, that you actually set up kind of a false distance between where you want to get when you have this desire to get there that's kind of driving you. And so I kind of learned that through the somatic work that made a big change, as well as all the undoing stuff and releasing the tension and all that stuff where that kind of happens naturally. But my new kind of route with people has been, let's try to get to that kind of engine that's constantly on, that's driving you usually from fear or from
Mhm.
desire or from something, instead of just watching what is without any trying to manipulate. And therefore you actually will make changes faster than when you're trying so hard to grasp.
Yeah, yeah, that's essentially what I try to accomplish with people too, is to collapse the distance between um, people have an ideal that they've projected of themselves that's completely fake. It's impossible to live up to. And then uh, the real person doesn't even exist anymore because who they think they are is another imaginary construct,
Right.
which is a diminished version of the self.
And so the pain is the false discrepancy between those
Between the
those two.
diminished version, the
Right.
weak fake, the fake weak self, and the fake
Right.
idealized.
It's only fake and weak in light of the fake idealized self that you have, right? So collapsing is the right word too.
Yeah, get back to ground zero, uh, basically.
And so is there
And
any particular somatic exercise that you kind of would point to specifically to deal with that, or is it just in general
well, I mean, the
all of the
face stretches over time will go a long way toward that because the muscle, specifically the muscles around the eyes, if those are chronically tense, and you can see like what is it? Like a really exaggerated form of that in Adam Schiff, the politician,
Mm, okay.
like with the eyes just bugging out, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but if the muscles around the eyes are chronically tense, which they are in a lot of people, then you're not perceiving reality clearly. There's some filtering going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's, for example, why a lot of politicians become politicians and why their solutions don't line up with what the actual problems are because they're not even perceiving reality clearly.
Yeah. Um, there's a few things on that note. One, um, part of the Feldenkrais method is about decoupling the eye. Well, first seeing how the eyes in the nervous system and your pain are all connected, how the eyes like you kind of get locked into focus on your pain and your
Mhm.
nervous system is directly kind of connected with that. You think of EMDR too, they're kind of trying to decouple using the eyes as the gateway to the nervous system, kind of trying to decouple the stuck position of the eyes that keeps the nervous system in a kind of traumatic response. So it's
Yeah.
interesting, the eyes, how much that's connected with that, and kind of relaxing your gaze is kind of a thing to evoke parasympathetic response. Um, on that note, did you see the Odyssey?
I did not. No. How was it?
It was good. It was an entertaining movie for sure. A lot of controversy both on both sides, but just as a movie, it was an entertaining movie. Uh, for somebody who's well versed in the story, of course, they have more problems with it than somebody who you know doesn't. But Martin Shaw, for instance, like was critical of it, but he tells the story and knows it in and out, so he's gonna, be more critical than if you just see it as a movie and as a piece of art itself on its own kind of terms.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I didn't watch Peugeot's description about it or anything, you know?
He was very positive in his review of it. Of course, the more conservative you are, the more you're going to. It's kind of the thing. Uh, anyways, I thought of that because
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Cyclops with the one eye and the symbolism of the Cyclops.
I mean, my favorite retelling of the Odyssey was so far that I'm aware of is um, I can see the movie cover in my mind that George Clooney, John Goodman was the Cyclops.
Really, I did not see that.
Oh, let me see. You've probably seen it. It's they had that song Wayfaring Stranger. George, what was I can't believe I can't remember the name of the film right now. Goodman Way. I'll tell you in a second.
You're not talking about like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou"?
Yes,
That
yes.
was
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah,
a retelling of the Odyssey
yeah.
in kind of a modern kind of way. Okay, I'll have to
Uh-huh.
watch it with that in mind. I don't know how I missed that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that song, dude. The song that he sings is the best, dude. Like, what is that? That song is the. I love that song.
yeah,
Uh, George, man. I don't care what y'all say about George Clooney. I like George. John Goodman's the man, of course.
yeah. He was only in it for that short scene, but it was the Cyclops. I think he had like an eye missing. Yeah, it says, oh
Mm,
yeah, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a loose comic relocation of Homer's Odyssey.
Ah,
to
okay.
Depression era Mississippi. Yeah, it's the
I
Coens.
didn't even realize that. That's cool.
So
Um,
yeah, instead of Odysseus, it was Ulysses Everett McGill, remember?
okay. Well, that's
Ulysses.
another name for him that I didn't realize. Ulysses in the movie. They call it like I didn't. Yeah, I need to go and read the Odyssey. And
Yeah, so
Aaron.
Clooney's middle name was Ulysses in
Okay,
the
okay.
it's the Roman form of Odysseus.
Ah, right, right, right.
And then in the Odyssey, he's journeying home to his wife and family, but in O Brother Where Art Thou, he escapes the chain gang to return to his wife and daughters.
Yeah, that's such a good movie, actually. It's fun. Um,
And
what
his wife
about
is Penny, like Penelope, you know.
oh yeah, of course.
And the
Um,
sirens, remember the three women singing by the river who seduced the fugitives? Cyclops was Big Dan Teague, John Goodman, the one-eyed Bible salesman who betrays and attacks them. And blind prophet Tiresias, the blind railroad prophet who foretells their strange journey. The Lotus Eaters, an enchantment, was various detours involving liquor, music, temptation, and false promises.
so I haven't seen one video about this. You think somebody would be like the remake of the Odyssey that everybody else forgot, and comparing it or something. We could do something on that and get some followers, bro. Um, hmm.
Great
So
movie. I love the Coens in generally, That's and that particular movie was iconic. And the soundtrack is beautiful. The Wayfaring
yeah,
Stranger and uh as I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way. You know that one? Who shall wear this robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Yeah.
what else is the Coen brothers? Give me another one of their big ones.
Fargo,
Okay, that's right.
uh, filmed in Minnesota. Um, Cohen's, what else? Big Lebowski.
Okay, that's them too. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
Goodman. I think Goodman was in all three of them. No, he wasn't in Fargo, was he?
I don't
Um,
remember.
Actually, I watched Fallen recently with Denzel Washington and John Goodman. Uh,
Oh, that's the demon one, yeah.
Demon one, yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw that so long ago.
Good is
I
good.
It's where the demon's in someone you didn't suspect by the end, right? Yeah.
They keep jumping from person to person, and then they're messing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Oof. And it ends on a dark note, right?
ends on a dark note. He tries to kill him, or he kills himself while the demon's in whatever, but it gets out at the last minute, jumps into a cat at the last minute, and goes
Ah,
off. And it's like, you didn't kill the demon, dude. Denzel, damn it. Um, James Joyce. You ever read any James Joyce? Ulysses.
no. Most of the James Joyce stuff was I knew about vicariously through Robert Anton Wilson's touching on it. Yeah.
Same, actually. And Terrence McKenna, they both. Uh, yeah, I never read it. I started to read some of it. That one, what's the crazy one where it's just like makes up his own words and stuff. Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah. Yeah, what I heard about it through Wilson was pretty cool. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I never made an effort to read it. And I think I was just generally, when I did look at it, I was just kind of confused. It sounded like Wilson did the effort of learning how and why Joyce was writing in the way that he did.
Well, Joseph Campbell too. He wrote like one of the most popular books on the like the cliff notes of it or the symbolism of it and kind of the mythic architecture of it and the Kabbalistic. That's why kind of Robert Anton Wilson was into it and the alchemical perspective. So it certainly was a. I mean, his daughter was like a student of Jung or went to therapy under Jung was like schizophrenic. So you can kind of see Joyce was probably slightly schizophrenic himself, which could be a creative advantage. But anyways, on the Ulysses note,
Yeah, Ulysses. Oh. Uh, anyway, so any final words? Should we leave? Well, we're gonna next week we're gonna have playtime with Chris and Garrett. about how to stop being an NPC in an increasingly robotic world. So we're preparing something kind of special for you guys for that. So if anybody's watching this to the end and has questions or things they want to see us address with that, then let us know.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, basically, if I was to summarize how to get ahead of 99% of people in 2026 is do some of the undoing exercises, which you can find in playlists on this actual channel. Um, get out of your head, get out of the hellish snow globe of the mind, so your identity's back home in the body and in actuality where you're actually living, and start to engage with the people that are close to you and the people around you that you interact with on a repetitive basis, uh, and establish real contact with real humans. And I know for some people who, as I've read a little bit about these issues, that people are pretty lonely and trapped within themselves and don't, like all these statistics about that the AI freaks try to hold up their AI as a solution for these problems, like, oh, people are isolated and alone, and men above a certain age don't even have one good friend, all this kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
unimaginable to me, but I
yeah.
can see from some of my own hiding out type of default behavior of like staying home. And if I get caught up inside my own thoughts, it's like it's as if the world doesn't exist in a way. So I understand what's going on for people, but
Yeah.
if you really want to get out of that, you're going to have to get back into the body, and it's going to not feel that, might not feel that good. It will feel good ultimately. When by good, I mean grounded and whole, even in a pain situation. You'll at least be present and able to know and see and know what's going on and know the difference between what's actually happening versus the contents of the imagination, which are almost always horrific to some degree or another. They're leading to some horrific conclusion, and then they're making the body react in the moment as if that thing is happening, as if that imagined catastrophe is happening. So people live in a body that's reacting to a catastrophe, but it's not in a catastrophe. So then when something
Right.
real painful or tragic happens, we don't have any breathing room, literally or figuratively, to actually see and feel what's going on and deal with it appropriately.
And part of that is it's almost better to have a real catastrophe because at least you know what is after you. But when you have this imaginary catastrophe, you're just like, I don't know what the problem, I don't know what's wrong. Your body thinks it's under attack, but there's nothing to point to. So it's like the horror movie where you can't see the bad guy. So you're
It's like
driving
Kafka's
yourself.
trial. Yeah.
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 Um, yeah, it's hard to give generalized advice, of course, because I could say, stop trying to be better and be a human. Stop trying to optimize everything, you know. But if you're at a certain place, you might need to start getting up an hour earlier and doing some
Yeah. So
optimizing,
the
you
main
know.
point, all this stuff is individual. That's why it's good
Yeah.
to work with myself or Chris or work with both of us. And incidentally, we do have I mean, we're Chris and I we've talked about this a little bit, Chris, but like I think it'll be interesting for a few clients to work with both of us privately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we also we haven't put this up anywhere yet, but it's also possible to fly us in, or you come out here, or we go to where Chris is, or we have a third place. Um, and we can put together a private workshop for groups. So anybody watching this, I've done that a few times with different groups. One time outside Dubrovnik here in Croatia, and other times like with groups in Sweden and in Norway and in England and stuff like this. So that's possible, and we'll put some public offerings out there too. But for now, if you guys are interested in that, just you can get in touch through the comments here, and you can send a message to me at the Radical through the Radical Undoing website, or Garrett at radicalundoing.com, and then we'll sort you out from there. But
Yeah. You can find me on Substack mainly right now, light material.
Hmm.
And yeah, the in-person retreats I'm excited about. I've done three in the last few years, and I want to get back to that.
Yeah, me too. That's my favorite thing. So we'll put something together on that. Maybe this North Pole idea. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but I think that could be a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Start there and then we'll do the Antarctica one after that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll take you to the Bermuda Triangle, show you what's really going on there.
Oh, the North Pole is a good start. But yeah, cool, man. Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad we're doing this. And yeah, let's stick with it. And I guess either Saturday or before, let's do that. You guys can look forward to a little more structured talk, but that'll be the Playtime with Chris and Garrett about how to stop being an NPC in this fucking AI robotic world. And people are
Yeah.
becoming more and more disembodied, more and more robotic, repeating phrases they've seen other places, being haters, being basement warriors, having AI girlfriends, telling AI all their problems and things. And I get the desire to have that connection, and it's a true yearning and it's a true need, but it's being distorted and it's fucking people up. It's fucking you up as a person to spill your guts to AI. It's not good. So we'll get into why that is not good and what you can do to actually. It's going to take a special effort to keep being a real person, even more than it did a few years ago. But because of that, it's going to be the richness of your life that you can earn through taking that action is going to be even more rich than it was before, in a
Yes.
certain sense, because it's walled off. It's more difficult, but you can put that together. For now, just try and assess your life. Look around and see, are there people that you are constantly in contact with anyway that you could actually go deeper with and share food with, share holidays with, and all this kind of thing. So that's a good start, just to start looking in a way that you haven't before.
Yeah. This will be the deepest thing on the internet about the NPC that you've seen. A lot of people use that term. It became popular like in the Trump first administration or something, but it has a deeper history that we're gonna go into and see all the ways that you are an NPC and what that actually means.
Hmm.
A lot of people who throw it around are in fact NPCs themselves in certain areas,
Yeah,
right? You can be like an NPC in some area and be a human in other, and so we'll kind
yeah,
of uncover that and go deep into the exercises that you can, and also what that means and how it relates to you know religion, spirituality, and such as well.
yeah.
Uh,
Like, what is the purpose of all this stuff? Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. All right, man. Good to see you. And thanks,
as
folks,
well.
for watching. Please leave comments, questions, like, share, subscribe. I'll do all that stuff. And we'll see you again next week.
Adios.